Welcome to the Quick Stop F1 podcast. My name is Tasha, and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. We just wrapped up qualifying at the beautiful Azerbaijan GP, and today to help me debrief is Fatima, creator of The Race Edit. Fatima, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Tasha, thanks for having me. It's going well.
Yeah.
It's been a weekend.
Yeah.
It's been a weekend, that's for sure. How about you?
Same. It's literally been a weekend. I feel like I'm excited when F1 comes back,
Yeah.
but for us, are you in the States also?
I'm in Canada, so.
Oh, okay. I feel like it's just like FP1 was like 5:30 a.m., 4:30 a.m. So I did not get up for that.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to lie, definitely delayed watching both. But yeah, I'm excited that it's back, but I'm like also, I feel like I'm snapped back into the motions of the weekend, So yeah.
Yeah, no, FP3 did not see me this morning. I'm not going to lie. I was like, I'll watch the highlights though. You'll catch me there.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely like when I saw it was like 4:30 a.m. I was like, that's just not happening. Yeah. A younger version of me would have been up, but not this time. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Exactly. So I guess just overall, like, what are your thoughts so far on like the weekend quali? Anything kind of stick out to you so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a weekend. I feel like we've had like a lot of chatter building up to the weekend with, I mean, of course, newbie to Aston Martin and then the whole Papaya Rules thing. And then all of a sudden this weekend just kind of like obliterated all of that.
Right.
So, but honestly, I'm really curious about tomorrow's race. I have no idea what's going to happen. I feel like this is one of the few races in a while where I'm like, okay, who's going to win actually?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I feel too. I mean, I think that's kind of been like reminiscent of like the whole season. Well, not the whole season, like
majority of the season.
Yeah, majority of the season. We've had kind of that like up in the air feeling of who is going to win this. I mean, you have Charles Leclerc who is on pole, but he's kind of iffy with his pole to win ratio. So it's not necessarily guaranteed that he's going to be the winner. Oscar Piastri starting like right behind him. He's very eager, very hungry to win. So, it's just like there is a lot up in the air and it's not so straightforward.
I mean, high key, I would listen. I'm always delusional for a Lewis win, no matter what. Like I'm always vying for Lewis win, but I wouldn't be mad if Oscar won. I would be like, you know what? Yeah, McLaren, actually. That's what you get for trying to throw my man under the bus.
I mean, that whole Papaya Rules thing definitely also fell under the bus this weekend. We can start with that. We can lead with the fact that Lando Norris is out in Q1. He's starting P17 tomorrow. Leading up to this weekend, we heard nothing but Papaya Rules this, Papaya Rules that. For people who don't know, Papaya Rules basically is just the team allowing Oscar and Lando to race each other as long as, they stay clean. They're not like causing, incidents with each other. But essentially, they weren't planning to prioritize Lando or Oscar. They just kind of were letting them race it out. And then Andrea Stella came out and was like, yeah, I think we kind of need to reverse course on that. And so we will prioritize Lando when we can. And the very next day, very next business day, Lando Norris did not make it to past Q1. So yeah, what are your thoughts on today?
Questions on the yellow flag. That's what, caused him to go out in Q1. I mean, I didn't go back and rewatch it, but I was listening to the highlights after qualifying. And I'm just, Andrea Stella mentioned something around the fact that there was a minor mistake that he made and then the yellow flag came in, but he doesn't believe that the minor mistake would have caused him to box. But I just feel like it was so abrupt. I'm like, what happened here? I mean, and then in Lando's post-quali interview, when they were like, oh, is this just another yellow flags thing? He was like, yep. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, Lando.
They definitely, so we saw a couple of replays of his lap.
Okay.
Karun kind of like walked us through his lap and there were no yellow flags, at least that he could see. The panels were flashing green. There was a white flag at some point, but no yellow flags. So I don't know necessarily what Lando saw. Of course, that's kind of his explanation, his reasoning of why he basically aborted his lap. But yeah, it was kind of weird. I mean, it didn't seem like it was coming together, but it definitely didn't, seem like there was a reason for him to abort it either. So yeah.
And now he has to make up 17 places tomorrow, which, I mean, if he gets lucky with like a red flag somewhere, maybe, but I don't know. It's a lot. That they're like his champion. I mean, to be honest, maybe I'm just a hater, but that Lando championship, it just never came together for me. I'm not going to lie. I would love to see a new championship winner. I would. I just don't want it to be Lando.
That's how I feel too. I feel like if you're in the contention for WDC, I just feel like you need to have that dog in you, and I just don't ever see it. And I'm not the biggest Max Verstappen fan,
no,
or anything, but Max Verstappen is a dog. You know what I'm saying? Like if he wins, at the very least, I could say he fought for it, or his team fought for it. And McLaren as a whole, not just Lando, but just as a whole, feels like I'm watching like the Mickey Mouse Club, and it's like, no, you go first. No, you go first. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's all share this together. And like, what? Like, it just feels like nobody's really like, pushing the team to just be ruthless. So, and in the same vein, I do feel like with the team orders kind of issue, I also I understand that it's a huge part of the sport, and like, obviously, they will happen, but it just feels like it's always happening with McLaren, prioritizing Lando, undercutting Oscar, having them invert positions. Like it's not the first time. So it just feels like to invert your way to a WDC just feels a little bit like womp womp. We deserve a better championship challenger.
Yeah. And Lando has said that he doesn't want to win a championship that way. But I'm also just like, I feel like Oscar finally figured out his footing. He knows what he's doing. And maybe some might say it's a little too late, in my opinion. Oscar's still pretty dang close to Lando. And like, if he has an opportunity to take it, why not? I mean, the team orders thing at McLaren is just so funny to me, because I don't even think they know what they're doing with the team orders themselves. Like, I think they're just saying it and hoping for the best, honestly.
They're just saying anything. Max kind of brought that up as well, because they love to ask him about other people's business. So basically, he's commenting on Norris being handed priority, getting team orders, and he says basically, of course they do what they want, and it's not my problem. I have my own problems at the moment. If you look at it from Oscar's perspective, he is closer to Lando than Lando is to me. They have to deal with that. They were not far apart, even in the championship. Oscar came in as first driver, and I don't think he's the type to be labeled second driver either.
No. Yeah. Oscar might be cool, chill, and calm, but like, honestly, I think he has more of the dog in him than Lando does. And like, I feel so like bad now, like dogging on Lando, but because he's so hard on himself, and obviously mental health and la-di-da. But I'm also just like, Lando, you've been in this game for long enough now. You're not an underdog, and you've been preparing for this moment. You have the moment and seize it. And I don't think he's seizing it.
Yeah, that's how I see it as well. I just feel like he's almost feels like, I don't want to say shell shocked or whatever, but I do feel like when you spend a lot of your time seeing other people, Lewis, I know he mentions a lot like, oh, you had the fastest car for so many years, and of course you should win. And it just feels like, it's not that easy, is it? Like, the mark of I think a great athlete is like, they make their jobs look effortless and easy, and everything just comes to them very easily, but they work really hard. Anybody who talks about Lewis talks about his attention to detail, how he's first one in, last one out type of mentality. He's very hard on himself as well, but he's also very positive. So it's just very interesting seeing, Lando finally, I think, get his turn to have this moment, and he's not ready for it because it's not as easy as it looks. That's like me watching the Olympics, seeing Simone Biles, hit a vault and being like, I could do that because she makes it look effortless. It's easy,
Literally,
but
me too.
I'd break my back. So It's not the same.
No, because the way athletes work, sidebar, I remember this one time in 2020 when I was watching WWE and I was like, I could do it.
Yeah.
I could do it.
Right.
And I looked at their workout routine and I was like, I can't do this, actually.
I think I could do like the walkout to the music. I could do the cute outfits. I could do the cute makeup hair. But yeah, when it comes to all the other stuff, miss me.
But that's the point, though.
Yeah.
Like, just because they make it look easy doesn't mean it is easy. Yeah. And having the fastest car actually means nothing. I mean, we saw that with Checo all of last year. They had whatever that was. And Checo was nowhere. Right. He was nowhere. And that's what Lando's kind of facing now. And I think another issue with Lando is, and I've mentioned this before, it's that he's always been, even though McLaren doesn't have a 1-2, he's always kind of been like their golden boy.
Absolutely.
And they now have Oscar, who's really freaking good, and he's not one to like back down. And I think he has to kind of navigate that as well too. Yeah. And he's having a hard time with doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. The whole team is sort of, molded around him. He's really never, like you mentioned, like he's never really had that second driver treatment. And McLaren has always maintained that we don't have first and second drivers, but the whole team kind of is molded around you. So yeah, for Oscar to come in and sort of like steal his thunder. This really should be Lando's season. Red Bull is very vulnerable and doesn't look to be recovering really anytime soon. Mercedes is not really a factor. Ferrari is like a factor here and there, like intermittently. So yeah, I do feel like this is probably like his best opportunity to just really like grab that and secure that. And I just feel like he's waiting for it to sort of fall into his lap versus just going out and, taking it. So yeah, Lando to me, like this season for me, it's like, I feel like this disappointment in him if he doesn't secure it, which mathematically, he still possibly could, but I think it would require DNF from Max potentially or something like that. The stars have to really align, but I do feel like, to see somebody get this close and not have that extra like 1% to like bring it home is just like, it's a little disappointing. Yeah.
It is. We'll have to see what happens tomorrow. If he can like magically recover some really great points. Because Max is, what did Max qualify in?
Let's look at the standings. Yes, he's P6 tomorrow.
Yeah, P6, P17. I feel like if some magic happens, they could be close together by the end of the race tomorrow. But we'll just have to wait and see. That first lap. That first turn.
That first turn is crazy. Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. Speaking of Checo and Red Bull, he's done marginally better this weekend than previous. We're laughing, but yeah, it's yeah.
I always try and root for Checo, I'm like, only because if there's a North American, I'm like, you know what? I might as well, right?
Right.
So I'm always like, Checo, you can do it. And I guess the street track, Baku woke him up. It woke him up. But he's still really disappointed in how he and where he qualified. Yeah. Fair enough. But he did out-qualify Max for the first time. Not this season, is it?
No. The season. It was crazy. Like 18-0 or something like that. Finally. Yeah, he seems like he came alive this weekend. I watched all the practices like we talked about. And, he was doing pretty well. He seemed very comfortable. Everybody else was having some struggles. We saw lots of red flags and, practice. We saw some crashes and he just seemed like he was chilling. So yeah, it definitely feels like he's come alive a little bit. And it's interesting to see that, maybe it just is that whole street circuit thing with him, like a one track pony or one trick pony.
I almost wonder though, if, now that like Max is also facing the same struggles he is, if he's like finding confidence again, because he's like, it's not me, right? Like, I'm not the crazy one here. It's the car. I wonder how that's going to play out for the next few races, because he's mentioned that a couple of times now, where he's like, yeah, I've had these issues. Maybe I'm just a bit more sensitive to it, and Max isn't. Right. But like now that both cars are feeling it, I wonder if it's just like, all right, I can actually kind of not look like a fool each weekend.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing them come closer together. Normally, Max is like 6/10, or so ahead of Checo, and now they're basically around like 2/10, 3/10 of each other. So it's interesting seeing them kind of converge together, as well as the rest of the grid kind of converging together after all of the talk of the generational Max Verstappen. It's interesting seeing how, he's a human like everybody else. So it's been interesting since Checo kind of made that comment. I think the race before in Monza, kind of mentioning, like now that Max all of a sudden is, you guys, it's not, like you said, it's not me, it's the car. And, Checo's notoriously has had issues with the car. It's not really suited to his style. So, but still, I think his confidence has taken quite a hit over the season and the last. So I think that also plays into it a bit as well. So like you said, I think now that he's on a track that he really likes, I think he's won here twice. And I think he also has the most podiums at this race than anybody else on the grid as well. So, Baku is kind of like his specialty track, let's just say. And so, I would hope if he could feel confident anywhere, it would be here. And now that the cars are closer together, we'll see what he does.
Oh, Checo.
That's I'm just so ready for that chapter, the Checo chapter, to be closed. I'm so sorry. Like,
girl, will it ever? Like, I don't know, like, what hold he has on Red Bull, but like,
he knows where the bodies are buried. Okay,
honestly, because they immediately re-signed him, and then just like that, it just went downhill for Checo. I was like, what happened?
Right? Yeah. It's just a mess at Red Bull. Everything is a mess at Red Bull.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Listen, the downfall has been delicious. I wasn't expecting it.
We suffered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
reverse Uno card. It's your turn.
We really went through it. Last season was actually just the most painful season ever. Yeah. I went into every single weekend like, this will be the weekend. And every single weekend, I got kicked. And he laughed in my face. Yeah. It just was not a fun time.
Yeah. It was hard. Like, I feel like slightly numb to the feeling. Like, at a certain point, like, because even Lewis would be like, it is what it is.
No, but like, actually.
And so at a certain point, it just, it is what it was. Like, it just was a shitty season. And then when this season kind of started the same, it was just like, oh boy, but at least we had the experience of last year. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like not a new feeling, just more of the same. So speaking, I guess, of Mercedes and Lewis, he qualified P7 again. I feel like we basically just need to take like a stencil and spray paint his 44 on like all the P7 spots.
At this point, girl.
At this point, P7 is ours. like that is, we are P7 merchants. Oh my God. But it's kind of the same, weekend, Groundhog's Day that we always get with Lewis, where, he does really well in practices. I think he was like top 3 FP1, FP2.
Yeah.
Also FP3, I believe. So, he was having a really good weekend, and then we get to quali and it's like, oh no, not FP3. FP3, he was P10. Yeah. Yeah. I was just like, what happened? Like, all of a sudden, the car is just nowhere. Lewis mentioned that it's the tire temps again. Let me find the quote from him about it, because, he's very like kind of downtrodden, but he mentioned earlier in the season that he just didn't see himself beating George head to head in quali. So, but he says, yesterday the car was amazing. Honestly, I think it could have been at least a second row today, but come today and all of a sudden the tires don't work at all. The tires didn't work all day. So we're back to the tire temps being an issue. Yeah. Thoughts on Mercedes and their tire saga?
They're just so predictable at this point. Like, I woke up, I looked at the F1 standings for FP3, and I was just like, okay, Mercedes, like, you can't fool me anymore. I have no expectations when it comes to them and the head-to-head. There's like, how many times do we have to go through the Saturday on the Sunday? Like, we know exactly what's going to play out, no matter how much times George out-qualifies Lewis. Come Saturday, they're going to be, come Sunday, they're going to be together.
Right.
They're going to be together. But the tire temps problem is just like, I just don't understand the logic anymore. Like, he's already leaving. We know he's leaving. The whole sabotage don't jump me, y'all. The whole sabotage thing, like, we know, like, everyone knows how George is.
Yeah.
I don't get the logic anymore. It's, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody who I was really surprised to agree with this weekend, Jacques Villeneuve. He was, I was like, bro, like, the worst person made a great point. Because the other announcers tried to make that point of like, George is beating Lewis head to head in quali, but he's like, but Lewis is a better racer than him on Sunday, and it's been the story for the past couple of seasons. Obviously, for whatever reason, it's very important for George to win this head-to-head battle with Lewis. I'm sure it's going to be chapter 1 of his biography of, his life. I beat Lewis Hamilton in quali, that's going to be his hallmark of his entire career, right? So let him have that. But it is just very odd that there's just this hyper fixation on quali when we all know that it means nothing when Sunday comes and you're sliding down the grid. So it's frustrating.
It's just like come Sunday. I actually have no words because I'm just like, genuinely, what is the obsession with the head-to-head for quali? Like, you're not getting any points, dude. Like, let it go. Come in Sunday and actually fix your race pace. I don't know. Like, do something, because, okay, sure, you out-qualify Lewis Hamilton, but come Sunday, either he's ahead of you or he's right behind you. Even, like, make it make sense, actually. It just doesn't make,
It's just like this fixation on such a small, but it's like like I said, I just believe it's to say, like, I beat Lewis at something. And I think it does benefit the team for their outgoing driver to, on paper, seem like he's washed up and, old news, irrelevant. But it's like, it is just strange because, quali is important. Obviously, like, these grid positions mean a lot. It's not, nothing that he's struggling. But at the same time, it's also like, if quali was the only important factor, that would be all we talk about. But we have an entire, like, championship with points that is the more important topic, and Lewis is beating him in that. So, and he beat him last year, and he almost beat him in the first year after he finished testing.
No, because when people were dogging on Lewis earlier this season when George was beating him, I was like, you guys are actually an unserious bunch, because we know how the story's going to play out.
Yeah,
we actually, like, we've seen it time and time again. Like, he's going to beat him in the standings. He is.
I have so many tweets bookmarked.
Yo. No, because, like, I'm ready to jump all of that. Honestly, I'm really, really curious to see how it's all going to play out when Lewis is in Ferrari next year, because Mr. George only has himself to prove. And I mean, he has Kimi Antonelli, which I'm also curious about, but I feel like it's going to be lawless come 2025. They're all just going to be jumping each other. And Mercedes can't play their games with Lewis anymore because he's not with them. And that's really going to tell the story of George.
Right.
Because right now it's like, it's still Lewis's story, even with George at Mercedes. But once he goes to Ferrari and once all eyes are actually on George, that's when it's going to that's when I think the pressure's going to take on, because, like, we see how he is when he's under pressure. I mean, I don't want to talk about Singapore last year, but
Yeah.
So, I'm curious.
I think it'll be a little scary for George Russell. He's, let's just say, like, I just feel like he's on fraud watch. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's some things that will probably be exposed. Not to say that he's, utterly useless as a driver or anything like that, but he's very young, very inexperienced. And I do think he's hyper fixated for whatever reason on things that don't matter. I do feel like he had a great opportunity, I think, to learn more from Lewis, but I feel like somewhere along the way, it just became important to win at things that just weren't, that you leave with a sense of like, okay, yes, I beat Lewis and quali, but like your race pace, your tire wear issues are still there. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that are just still there. And you hear Lewis, like, I believe it was Monza. He talked about, hearing the times from the McLarens ahead of him and just thinking like, man, they're like doing too much right now. These are like quali laps, basically. Like he has so much feedback and so much like intel that I think these drivers can learn from. Not to say that they should be like, carrying his water or, you know what I mean? Anything like that. But I just,
you're right though.
I feel like there's that you had an opportunity to kind of be mentored in a sense from Lewis, or at least observe, how he kind of does things. And I do think that George has changed a lot. I mean, like I remember, was it 2022 season? He was locked in the sim. We all joked about that. Like his work ethic has definitely increased and all this stuff. I do feel like there's like a mentality that he has that I think he has to kind of like let go of. So I think Kimi coming in will be interesting because George will be the elder in that situation. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Kimi picks up from him, if anything at all. But yeah,
Kimi has nothing to lose, if we're going to be honest.
No, I mean, they want him to swing for the fences. They want their young ingenue to come in and like, make mistakes. And, it seems like they're fully prepared and willing for that to be the case.
Oh yeah, Toto's ready. He's like, his mistakes are going to be more visible.
Right.
Than George's was when he was at Williams, la-di-da. But like, I feel like I love that, but I'm also just like, that's so much pressure on the kid as well, because we know how harsh the media can be, especially with like the hype around Kimi. Any mistake he makes, it's going to be on 10.
Yeah.
Which we've seen how these crashes and stuff can affect a driver's mental. So I don't know. I feel like Toto is just really rushing into this, and I don't think he's actually thinking straight. But hey, I'm not Toto.
Right. Who are we to disagree? That's how I feel. I'm like, like, I don't want to be right. You know what I mean? Maybe that's not the word I'm looking for. But it's like we see the cycle that these young drivers go through when they come in and they're not really supported. And he's using him as like this chess move to say, yes, I'm this great like headhunter. Like I spot talent at the embryo level, embryonic level. You know what I'm saying? Like I can tell a talented driver from such a young age. Like that's, I think, what Toto's trying to prove with Kimi.
But that's why Monza.
Yeah.
It all blew up in his face.
Yeah.
And it was Kimi crash.
Absolutely. And, so it was just like, I think it's obviously no risk, no reward in the sport, but I do feel like seeing the cycle play out over and over and over and over again of like young drivers being like brought in, all this pressure being put on them, and they can't sustain it and they can't handle it because it's a lot. And Kimi coming straight to Mercedes to fill in Lewis Hamilton's shoes is, I think, the ultimate pressure. I mean, thankfully, to some sense, he's 18. Yeah. So I think his young brain will just kind of like, block out a lot and be fearless, So I do think that he does have that advantage, but I still just think that it's a little unfair on Kimi to not let him develop, especially with his peers, to finish out, F2, to go to F3, you know what I mean? So it's just like to have his career so accelerated just to like prove that you're like,
Like, you had all of 2025. Yeah. But give him 1 year.
Yeah.
Williams is right there.
Right
1
there.
year.
Yeah.
Who's that going to hurt? Like, I mean, and that's like nothing to Williams, because I know Williams, obviously, it's like, we're not the team that you just go to so you can build the guy up. But like, 1 year, dude.
Just somewhere where, a little crash here and there isn't going to like kill anybody. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
Might kill Williams, but
yeah. Well, actually, speaking of Williams, their replacement driver, Franco Colapinto, has done an amazing job. This is his second race. He came in at Monza and replacing Logan Sargent. He did have an accident in FP1 where it kind of felt like, oh God, here we go again. Like young, inexperienced driver. But it's Baku. It's a very, it's a pretty intense course. And so, he had his accident, but he more than made up for it in quali. He was pretty amazing. I mean, his laps were really incredible, very fast. Beat Alex Albon. Let me see where he actually ended up to start, because I was like very impressed. P9. So yeah, he's going to start P9 tomorrow at a intense track like Baku. Did you have any like thoughts about Williams? Because it seemed like both cars actually were doing really well throughout the weekend.
I thought they were gonna be like a front row lockout at one point. I was like, yo. I was like, wait a second. I like always root for Williams because I always root for the underdogs. So I was extremely happy to see what was going on there with how well they are doing so far this season. I'm not this season, but like in Baku, should I say?
Yeah.
But Vinto really came in and he's showing that, you know what? I may be 2 weekends in now, but like he also is another one that has nothing to lose.
Absolutely,
like he has absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. So he can like push it to the max. And if he crashes, I mean, Logan crashed a bajillion times, right? So what's one crash gonna do?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for him. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. Another young person in as well, Ollie Behrman. He had a slightly different quali with, a little bit more accidents that, he really took kind of hard. Like you can hear him over the radio calling himself like an idiot, being very like down on himself, feeling the pressure, because he's coming in to replace Kevin Magnussen this week. So
bring him back.
Bring him back. Yeah. Keep him in the seat. Like you might as well, I feel like. But yeah, so it's just like you could definitely see how different drivers are managing the expectations differently. But it has been nice to see them, both drivers just come in and just kind of swing for the fences and try anything.
The thing that was taking me out for Williams was the minute Franco got up, I think it was Q2 when he was like P3 at some point, all the commentators were like, oh my gosh, Franco, Alex Albon. I was like, you guys are just salivating right now. Like,
absolutely.
Salivating. Take it easy.
Because, I mean, I don't know. Were you expecting them to be like this competitive? Coming into
I actually wasn't. I don't know. I actually had no expectations for Williams this race. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Like I make like unsafe predictions where I'm like, oh, maybe we'll get like a Franco win or whatever. But like, I don't really think that's going to happen. I mean, it could and it would be great. But I didn't think they were going to even like both drivers made it into Q3, which when was the last time that happened for Williams?
Right.
So I'm really, really happy to see like the trajectory they're on. When it comes to starting to maybe have a second driver who's going to be able to be on par with Alex Albon, but it's also kind of just like, man, people are ready to just like slander Alex. And I'm just like, well, this is going to be an interesting, the next couple of races are going to be quite interesting for Alex. I mean, I think he also needs it though, too, especially with Carlos coming in next year. Like he needs to be able to prove that maybe it's not like he had Logan and Latifi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
not hard. Yeah.
He needs something to push him even more. And this is what Franco's here for, if we're going to be quite frank.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, you're right. Like I came into the season, I remember, how they kind of ended at the end of last season, just feeling like there was so much like fresh energy coming into Williams. They were the team that I, coming into this season, was really like looking forward to seeing if they could continue on this like path of, upward trajectory. And it felt like, at the start of the season, like they just connected it together. I mean, Alex was crashing as much as Logan was crashing. Yeah. They didn't have any spare parts for the car. Chassis were few and far between, so
Logan.
There was so much going on with the team. And I was just like, what the heck? Like at the end of the last season, they were on a very good path forward. And now it just feels like it all kind of fell apart somehow, which I feel like maybe is, just a part of rebuilding. Sometimes you got to tear it all down and build back up. But it did feel like quite abrupt, that suddenly this team that we were all like really excited about is like nowhere. Alex Albon's quali form was kind of like nowhere as well. So yeah, to see him do really well, especially in this race where we weren't like expecting anything, it was a surprise. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe Williams does have a little bit more to their story this season than just, failing. So yeah, I'm excited for them because it's been a hard season for them. I mean, Val's hasn't really had it easy either. He's one of the team principals who most people tend to like hearing from. And everything out of his mouth this season has been a mess.
No, because every single time I'm like, Fouls. I'm trying to root for you. But then he opens his mouth and I'm like, listen.
Can't save you. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think it is all part of the rebuilding process. Yeah. You're right. And honestly, this is the part where they need to really crunch in, because I mean, I don't really know why Carlos is going to Williams.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like it's not for. Do we know how long his contract is? Is it like a multi-year, as I love to say?
They said multi-year. I want to say it's like at least 2 years.
Yeah. I feel like it's until 2026, and then when Sauber gets their stuff together.
Yeah.
Because why would you go to Sauber? They kind of suck right now. Not even kind of, they just suck right now.
I mean, if you're just wanting to stay in the sport, I guess that's the vibe I get from Carlos to Williams.
You're right.
Just,
you're right.
Listen, I need a paycheck. He's like, listen, because he waited so long. I mean, he waited so long. So yeah, I mean, and not to shit on Williams, because like we said, they're building, things are happening, things are in motion, but from Ferrari.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of wild. So yeah, we'll see how that works out for him.
He's doing like an Alonso, where Alonso jumps to all the teams.
Right.
But like, Alonso also had like 2 championships under his belt, you know?
Right. Well, you know what? He might have played the master class, hand.
I don't believe it.
You're like, absolutely not. I'm shutting this down right now. He played the very, very long game.
Listen, the only thing about Alonso that I like respect is his hateration. Like, that man is an ultimate hater, and honestly, I respect it. Aside from that, I cannot be in a place where Alonso wins another championship at the age of God knows how long.
Well, let's just start with the race first. Let's just get a race in the belt first, because it's been a while.
I didn't know that.
It's been a while. Lewis Hamilton fans, we were suffering. We almost hit 1,000 days, and it was like the water, the rain just fell down, after a long drought. So yeah, I can't imagine Alonso fans, how they might feel. Maybe finally getting a win, experiencing that.
I mean,
for the first time since like the Bush administration. Right. Anyway, let's read the grid. Let's start the race for tomorrow.
Yes.
Let's start with 20, Esteban Ocon. Man, bad weekend for Alpine. Bad season too.
Terrible season.
Yeah. We have Zhou Guanyu at 19th, which I'm actually shocked he wasn't 20th for once. Valtteri Bottas.
Esteban's failure.
Yeah. Bottas at 18. Lando Norris at 17. Daniel Ricciardo, 16. Now, do you think Daniel's like, I left here with something? Because he qualified ahead of Lando.
Oh, you know what? I know he's laughing.
Right.
He's like, karma.
Right. We have Lance Stroll, 15th. That Aston's, I don't know what's going on with them. So they do need.
It's not a car, says Lance.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what it is, but it's not a car.
It's not a car. It's a car. Nico Hülkenberg at 14. Pierre Gasly, 13. Yuki Tsunoda at 12th. Ollie Behrman at 11. You have Alex Albon at P10. Franco Colapinto at P9. Fernando Alonso, P8. Lewis Hamilton, P7. Max Verstappen, P6. George Russell, P5. Sergio Perez, P4. And Carlos Sainz, P3. Listen, that whole like little section right there is like Hell's Gates. Like, that is.
Oh man, you know what? I just need Perez, Russell, Verstappen to take each other out.
Yeah.
Hamilton, Alonso, Colapinto, just chill.
Right.
Let whatever the 4th, 5th, and 6th need to do, because those 3, especially like Russell in the middle, Russell likes to get dirty, likes to get messy. So maybe not take each other out, but like just make way.
Yeah, just like, they can fight each other while Lewis just drives through. So real time, we have a little bit of an update. So George Russell has actually been summoned in relation to alleged breach of Appendix H, Article 2.55b, failing to slow under yellow flags. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how that ends up. Let's see. Hold on. There's extra news. Sorry, this is also happening.
George.
Yeah.
Let me go on.
Pierre Gasly also. He is at the stewards for exceedance of the instantaneous fuel mass flow.
Girl,
what's going on?
It's gonna be Alpine,
listen.
It's going to be a long weekend because what is going on?
What's happening?
Like Alex with the fan. like
the fan, yeah, I'm sorry. Is this everybody's first weekend in F1? Like, why are we leaving neon yellow fans on top of cars? Like, come on now.
And the guy is like, nobody saw it until, what was it? Oscar pointed it out. And then when they did the replay, I was like, it's literally right there. Oh my gosh.
Like, what is wrong with every... yeah, listen, sometimes I'm like, y'all are crazy.
This is not a real sport.
Rounding up the front row is Oscar Piastri, who, like we said, he's in a good prime position to potentially win this. And then you have Charles Leclerc in P1, who putting in some incredible laps. I was not expecting. I was excited for Ferrari coming into this weekend just from Monza, but I wasn't sure if they could sustain it. You know, it's Ferrari. Sometimes, you know, we get a little stroke of brilliance here, and you know, even the strategy was great. So it's like a lot of things worked in their favor in Monza. And yeah, what were you going to say?
No, I agree with you, like 100%. I mean, I think Charles really had to put his foot down, especially after his crash.
Yeah.
What was it? FP2? FP1? FP1. And then when the balance wasn't right with the car in FP2 and Ferrari couldn't find anything, and he was like, I'm not driving this car. And I was like, you know what, Charles, you're right. Tell them, because what do you mean? First of all, get your life together, Ferrari, because I'm going to you next year. So I can't afford these things. I really can't. Talking about we're not seeing anything in our data, but he was pretty on top of it this entire weekend aside from that crash. Like right before he crashed, he was top of the grid, right?
Yeah.
So I think honestly, with their new upgrades, I was a bit worried because I was like, I'm not too sure. This was before Monza, the new upgrades that they brought, I think 2 Monza. I was a bit worried because I was just like, you know, with Ferrari, you just never know. They'll be like, we have these upgrades, they're going to be great. And then all of a sudden, it's just the worst thing to ever happen to that car.
Right.
But so far, so good with the package they have underneath them right now. I wonder if Charles can convert this. I feel like he could. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like he could convert this to a win if the strategy is right.
Right. That's what I mean. I'm just like, it's so hard to like really confidently like bet on red, you know, because I just feel like it's just so many things can go wrong. This track is just unforgiving. Charles, listen, I know a wall at Baku hate to see Charles Leclerc coming. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like
it's just a ritual at this point for him.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so hopefully he got it out of his system in practice, but yeah, I don't know. So I sent out a tweet and I asked everybody what their race predictions was and what the podium predictions might be, which you can go ahead and pull up. We'll read a couple in a second. But I also conducted a small poll. It's literally one question. But I asked about the safety car and virtual safety cars because we haven't had any in quite a few races, which on the one hand, I'm very impressed because of the amount of, you know, we had Logan at some point, you know, he was crashing during practices, but not the races. They've had a lot of close calls, you know, with the, you know, Kevin Magnussen doing terrorism every weekend. You know, you had a lot of close calls. There's been a lot. So the fact that we really haven't had any safety cars, really any red flags or anything like that in a few races has been kind of remarkable in a sense.
It's been great, but like, give me some drama.
Exactly.
You know, I feel like I should hold my breath because the race is tomorrow.
Right.
So
exactly. But yeah, so I asked everybody and I was like, do you guys think we're going to get one? And I think maybe just based off of, you know, how practices have gone, it did seem like a lot of people were getting caught out on this track. So 88% of people said absolutely incoming, one is incoming, and 12% said no, the streak continues. So I don't know.
Where do you stand on that?
I think just based off of practice, I do think that, and I don't want to put this on any of the new guys, but I do feel like they're really putting a lot of pressure on themselves.
Yeah.
And I can see them pushing a lot for this race, just trying to
Yeah.
I think it'll be probably one of the new guys that just maybe pushes a little bit too far. But I also see those Alpines and I'm like, that engine is trash. So if nobody gets in an accident, I do feel like probably one of them will just stop in the middle of the track somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the new guys, I feel like they're in a weird position because they have to put that pressure on themselves, but also like Franco's in a place where it's like he can't really afford to crash, right? Because of all the crashes Williams has had with Logan, so he's there to like take that out of the Williams system. And Behrman, he's coming into Haas next year, so if he crashes and he messes up, like that's not a fun weight to have on you when you start that season. Yeah, but yeah, you're absolutely right about the Alpines.
Yeah. One or both of them are not going to finish that race.
Whatever.
They are overdue for a double DNF. So I'm just saying, like, that's. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So let's find a couple of tweets to read from the listeners and just kind of get their thoughts on their predictions for tomorrow. Let me know when you're ready and you can go first.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to go with. Let's see if I can read this handle right. Diamond Secrecy? Secrecy? Diamond Secrecy? Yeah. She says, need everyone in the top 6 except Charlie and Oscar to play bumper cars with each other. Like,
literally.
Yeah. That's exactly where I'm standing. All of them except for them too.
Right. Like somehow they just both make it unscathed, like in the action. Yeah, I think so too. Like action movies, like when there's like a big explosion and then like the superheroes like run out of the flames. Like that's what I need for both of them. Just make it through. I'm scared for the start. I'm getting very nervous for the starts nowadays. Like I'm not gonna lie, they really freak me out. I think on that same note, Rob Starr at Fancy_NM says Verstappen ahead of Lewis and Alonso right behind him, crying face. It's just scary. Lots of ops around. You know what I mean? Like that start is spooky.
Yeah, I'm kind of stressed. I do this thing where like I like cross my fingers for the start. Yeah. For Lewis because I'm just like I need him to make it out alive. Yeah. Like every single race, I always have a finger crossed for him. But tomorrow I might have to have like some prayers because
fingers, toes, everything. Like
everything.
Get the rosary. Like we need.
Oh my God.
Get the prayer candles. We're gonna need a lot to protect him. Listen. Oh, R.I.P. Brazilian Twitter.
I need them back.
Come back. Hopefully they're still conducting their prayers without us.
I know they are.
Yeah, without the Twitter space. Yeah, we're kind of lost. Read it. You have another one that you want to read?
Ooh, let's see. Sorry. Oh, yes. Ruthie DeShelley's. I think Oscar can win this. Lewis will be on podium. I just feel it. Honestly, I do think it's going to be, should we come out of turn 1? Cool. I actually think it's going to be a good race for us. When I say us, I mean Lewis. I think Oscar could win. I agree, but let's see how rapid Charles is. But Lewis podium, 100%. I'm standing by that, 10 toes down.
I like that. I mean, listen, he's in the race. He's got a car. He's got a chance. That's how I feel.
He can drive it. That's all we need.
Right. I'm going to also read at Avameterol. Willie B 44 says 1644. As long as there's illusion, there is hope. 81. So that's their podium. And yeah, we deserve that podium.
I was about to say
we almost had that podium. Well, we did have that podium finish, but not on the podium. So yeah, we need it. We need to be able to get the photos. We need the proof that it actually happened this time. So yeah, I'm excited for.
Me too. Yeah. I'm really excited. Yeah. No, we deserve that podium 100%. They played in our faces last time, and like reparations. Let's go.
Reparations. Listen. So that being said, do you have any predictions of your own for tomorrow? Whether it's a podium or something happening in the race?
I think, and I hate to say this, I do think Zhou is going to have a problem. I just feel like he has just the worst luck ever this season. Like, no matter how hard he tries, just something always happens to him. So I don't know. I feel like we're going to have he's going to go off. I don't know if he's necessarily going to crash, but something's going to happen with Zhou. Sorry, Zhou. Podium, I'm going to have to say, Lewis, Charles, Oscar. That's my big three, and I'm standing by it.
Yeah, listen, I love that because it's just a prediction. It's just for fun. Let me see. What do I want to? Okay. I don't know if I have a podium. Okay.
I know I just jinxed it. Oh my God.
I know.
I take it back. Nobody listen.
Knock on wood. I feel like every time I say something on the show, the complete opposite happens tomorrow. So I have to be very careful with my words.
Oh, I take it back.
Yeah.
Nobody heard that.
But okay, so let me see. Okay, so Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris are 24 points apart in the championship. I do think that Charles can eat into that gap even more this weekend. So I do want him to win. So get those 25 points in, because I just feel like it would just make it really interesting. Another character in the WDC challenging, or like that would just be a lot of fun. So yeah, I do think that I'm going to say Lewis finishes ahead of George per usual, which I don't feel like is a prediction, but let's just say,
it's the truth.
Yeah, it's the truth. It just, I want to say, I just feel like it's going to be Behrman or Colapinto that creates that safety car. So that's going to be my prediction for that. We're going to get a safety car. I feel like probably get a second one for an engine failure somewhere in there. And yeah. Oh yeah. Let me stop being a punk. So let me say Charles Leclerc wins, Oscar Piastri P2, and this is going to be shocking, but I'm going to give Checo a chance.
I'm laughing because I was thinking the same thing.
I want to give him a chance. I think I listen. I just feel like he might be a factor. So yeah, that's gonna be my podium, and I'm sticking to it. I threw my mouth a little bit, but it's fine. It's fine.
As you were like speaking in my head, I feel like she's gonna say Checo.
Yeah,
he's strong.
He's strong. It's his track. So yeah, we'll see. Fatima, thank you so much for stopping by today. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having me.
Before we go, can you please tell everybody a little bit more about the Race Edit? When are your episodes dropping? Where can they find you online?
Yes. So you can find the Race Edit on YouTube is where I'm most active. Instagram and TikTok. The Race Edit is really just all about Formula One hot topics. Listen, I'm a Lewis Hamilton girl, so he will be brought up in a lot of my videos. But really and truly, the Race Edit is just positive vibes, Formula One hot topics, and my unserious predictions. And like I said, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.
Nice. Thank you. Well, I hope everybody goes out and supports you. You have been so wonderful to talk to. It's been really a lot of fun. For everybody out there listening or watching, thank you as always for tuning in. We always appreciate that. We're still really close to hitting 5K on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead. So yeah, we're right there. We're right there. So yeah, definitely don't forget to subscribe. If you would like to have an ad-free experience, you can support us over on Patreon. And if you would like, you can also just leave us reviews. Those are very helpful. 5 stars on Spotify or Apple really helps out our channel and helps our platform to grow. So yeah, again, appreciate all of the support, and I hope we have a good race tomorrow. That's pretty much all I can say. I do hope that it's interesting and fun and safe as much as possible. And yeah, with that being said, no matter what life throws at you, keep it on the black stuff. Bye.
Look, mate, if you've got this far, clearly you like what we do. So here's a link to subscribe to the Quickstop F1 family. Give that a click. And here's another link to some more cool on our channel. Sorry, cool stuff. And remember, no matter what happens, keep it on the black stuff. Click the stuff. Click the links. Click the links. Click the links. there. They're there.